Just waiting on the YouTube to finish loading. It'll be just a second. Were there any announcements before we got started with this next hearing?
I don't believe so, Judge. It seems like the only cases that remain are Lockett, Carter, and Redding.
Okay. Yeah, I have 3 more too. Okay.
And Your Honor, we will respectfully request that the public defender's 2 cases go back to back, since Mr. Florio has gotten 2 cases going back to back.
Is this one of your cases?
Yes, Your Honor. Lockett and Carter are the 2 public defender cases. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, we are now streaming live on YouTube. Today is April 26th, 2021. I'm Judge Bando, sitting my special designation for Superior Court. This is the Magistrate Court of Clayton County's preliminary hearing calendar. All parties have announced ready. This is the State of Georgia versus Jemiah Lockett in warrant number 2021 CW 50912. Present for the hearing via Zoom is the state represented by Ms. Freeman. The defendant is present, currently incarcerated in Clayton County Jail. And Attorney Helen, are you representing her?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and the defendant is being represented by Attorney Helen. All right, Ms. Freeman, your witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Gerald, would you raise your right hand, please? I need you to unmute yourself. Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony about to provide in the matter of State of Georgia versus Jemiah Lockett will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
Please tell us your name and how you're employed.
Sergeant Marcus Gerald. Sorry about the noise. They're doing construction over there at the fire department.
Okay. How long have you worked with the Clayton County Police Department?
I've been with the City of Riverdale Police Department for about 3 years now, total of 6 years.
Okay. Where were you working on January 26, 2021?
The City of Riverdale Police Department.
And Sergeant, did you receive information regarding a Jemiah Lockett for investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did that come about?
On January 26th, the Cricket Wireless located in the City of Riverdale, Georgia, was robbed by 3 black females. After the robbery, one of the females, during the robbery, one of the females pepper sprayed the clerk, the attendant clerk. The females then got some of the money out of the till, ran out and got into a white colored vehicle with a temporary tag and drove off.
Did you go to the location, the Cricket Wireless?
That night, no, I did not, ma'am.
Okay. So when did you receive the case for investigation?
The very next day, the very next morning.
Upon receiving your assignment for investigation, what did you do?
I got information from Atlanta Police Department that 3 black females entered the Buckhead, Atlanta location. The females were matching the description of the females that committed the robbery at the City of Riverdale. One of the females had specifically orange hair, which is the type of hair Miss Lockett was wearing during the commission of the robbery. During the course of investigation, I was provided a temporary license plate number, which came back to a Beyonce Matthews. Miss Matthews was questioned at the Cobb County Jail, and she advised and was shown photographs of Miss Lockett as well as another defendant, Miss Latrini, I'm trying to say her name right, Laterene Love, I think that's her name. And she admitted that those three individuals did go inside the Cricket Wireless and commit the offense of robbery.
Sergeant Gerald, were you able to review any surveillance footage of this robbery at the Cricket Wireless?
Yes, ma'am.
What did this video surveillance indicate?
It showed three black females entering the location. Miss Lockett wearing a blue jumpsuit, entering the location, along with Miss Love and Miss Matthews. Once inside the location, they spoke to the clerk, Miss Ortiz, the victim. Then they walked back out of the location, and they came back inside the location, at which point in time Miss Matthews pepper sprayed Miss Ortiz in the face. It looked like Miss Lockett and Miss Love were about to engage with the victim, but then the victim came back from behind the, I guess she went to the employees entrance. She came back out and struck Miss Matthews. Miss Matthews grabbed the till of cash and ran out of the location.
What did Miss Lockett do? Did she stay in the location? Did she run out also?
She ran out with Miss Love and Miss Matthews.
Did all of the females get into the same vehicle when they ran out of the Cricket Wireless?
Yes, ma'am.
Was this in the city of Riverdale?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point in time during your investigation, Sergeant, were you able to review any cell phone records or social media or anything like that?
Yes, ma'am. I was provided the cell phone information from Detective Wedderburn as the three females committed a string of robberies in DeKalb County, Chamblee, Brookhaven, and I think Decatur Police Department jurisdiction. They were stopped. Miss Matthews was caught. The other two females got away. There was a phone inside there was Miss Matthews' phone was located, as well as Miss Lockett's phone was located inside the vehicle. A cell phone dump was done on Miss Matthews' phone, as well as Miss Lockett's phone, as well as a MasterCard was inside the vehicle saying Jemiah Bowden, which is another name that Miss Lockett uses.
Where was this MasterCard located?
It was located in the backseat of the vehicle.
Was this the vehicle that the individuals used to get away from the Cricket Wireless in Riverdale?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
You stated that you did a cell phone dump of Miss Lockett's phone.
I didn't do a cell phone dump. DeKalb
I'm sorry?
DeKalb County did the cell phone dump.
Okay, as well as one of the co-defendants?
The cell phone dump from Miss Matthews and Miss Lockett's phone.
Do you have the results of that cell phone dump, or can you tell us what that revealed?
Yes, ma'am. In the cell phone dump, the locations were shown that Miss Lockett as well as Miss Matthews were at the Cricket Wireless during the time of the robbery. Furthermore, showed text message between Miss Lockett, Miss Matthews, and Miss Love, talking about how they're going to go about robbing people, indicating that they're going to pepper spray people and things of that nature.
How were you able to determine that the cell phone, one of the cell phones belonged to Miss Lockett?
Detective Wedderburn contacted the grandmother, I believe her name is Brenda Lockett, and she advised that her granddaughter is Jemiah Bowden. She said her last name is Bowden, but it's actually Lockett. She furthermore advised that that phone number is her granddaughter's phone number.
Were you able to interview any of these females to determine why they decided to rob the Cricket Wireless?
I interviewed Miss Matthews. Miss Matthews advised that they wanted to go to a party that night and get their hair done, so they needed some money to do that.
Just so I'm clear, because I know I heard some background noise. They needed money to get their hair done?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I was advised by Miss Matthews, that they needed money to get their hair done, as well as money for, I believe, to go to a party as well.
Did all of this happen in Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
Judge, that's all I have. Thank you.
Cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. You said you are an officer or detective?
Sergeant, I'm a sergeant over the
Sergeant.
criminal investigation section.
Okay, Sergeant, are you the arresting officer?
Yes, ma'am. I took out the warrants for the 3 females. Yes, ma'am.
And you mentioned that there's videos taken from the Cricket store surveillance. Are there videos from any other location showing this incident?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And you said you on direct, you said you've seen all of those videos.
Yes, ma'am.
And what angles do those videos cover? Do they cover the front door, back door?
They cover the front door as well as the corner. There's about 3 angles in the corner of the Cricket wireless location. There's one on the left-hand side, one on the right-hand side, and one that points directly to the front door.
And when you spoke to the cashier, which cashier did you speak to?
I didn't speak to the cashier that night, no, ma'am.
Did you speak to her at a later date and time?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
You got a statement for her?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Did she sign that statement?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
And in that statement, did she identify who pepper sprayed her?
She said the dark-skinned one pepper sprayed her.
She said the dark
That's what she
skin
said to
one?
me. That's what she said to me verbally. As far as the statement, did she say that? She didn't I don't really have the exact wording from the statement on my person.
Did she say what that individual was wearing? Did she describe what she was wearing?
Well, I kind of understood who she was explaining because she said the one wearing all black when I spoke to her over the phone. So that wasn't Miss Lockett, who she's advising.
But you said that you had the belief that you knew who she was talking about. Who is she referring to as pepper spraying her?
Miss Matthews. Miss Matthews also admitted to pepper spraying her as well.
Okay. And from this video footage, you said it was the left, the right, and they're facing the front door. What is Miss Lockett wearing on this video?
She's wearing a blue outfit. A blue.
You said blue outfit?
Yeah, it's kind of like a blue. I wouldn't say it's a onesie, but it's like a blue.
Jumpsuit?
Yeah.
And in this video footage, do you see Miss Lockett with the pepper spray at any point?
No, ma'am.
Does Miss Lockett in the video footage approach the cashier?
She does several times, but it looks like it's to distract the cashier or talk to her.
You also said on direct that they exited.
Yes, ma'am.
At what do they all 3 exit and then come back in?
Yes, ma'am.
So on direct, you're saying that they all 3 left, but then came right back in?
Yes, all three of the females left the location. Not left the location, but they left and went back into the vehicle. And then they came back inside.
And you said the vehicle, who owns the vehicle?
Miss Matthews.
Is the vehicle registered in her name?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is driving the vehicle to the Cricket?
I didn't get that information.
From the video footage, are you able to see who's driving as they leave, how they get?
No, ma'am, you can't.
You also mentioned that you had a statement from Miss Matthews. Did you get a statement from Miss Love?
I wasn't able to. She just got picked up, I want to say 2 or 3 days ago, I think. I'm not 200% sure. But I believe she just got picked up a few days ago, and I was going to go up there and speak to her as soon as I got a chance.
So you haven't spoken to Miss Love yet?
No, ma'am, no have.
Do you know if you've taken, or if there were any other statements taken from any other co-defendants?
From any other, I don't know. I know Detective Wedderburn said he was going to speak to Miss Love, but I haven't spoken to him because the Cobb County, how their shifts work, he works patrol 2 days out of the week. So I think he's working patrol today, so he's not at his desk.
Where was Miss Lockett arrested?
When was Miss Lockett arrested?
Where? Like where did they make the arrest for Miss Lockett?
I do not know. I didn't know she was I didn't know she was in custody until last week.
Do you know who made the arrest?
Oh man. I know the sheriff, so I know it was Clayton County Sheriff's Office. That's all I know.
And who made who had the interview with Miss Lockett? Who made the initial interview with Miss Lockett?
I spoke to her this week, but she said that she didn't know what I was talking about.
So she did speak to you?
Not really, but yes.
When you say not really,
so like when I asked her, did she know about the incident that happened on the 26th of January? And she said she didn't know what I was talking about.
Are you aware if Miss Lockett has made a statement to anyone else during an interview or at any point has made a written statement?
No, ma'am.
So at this point, the only individual who's made a written statement is Miss Matthews?
Miss Matthews, Miss Sanchez, and Miss Ortiz.
And did you have a chance to speak to Miss Sanchez?
Yes, ma'am.
And what did Miss Sanchez advise that she saw?
She advised that when Miss Ortiz came to the back room, she said that they're trying to rob me. And then Miss Sanchez, as she walked to the front, she saw the three females get into this to the white and colored Chrysler 200 and drive away.
Did Miss Sanchez see Miss Lockett at any point try to rob the cashier? Did Miss Sanchez see anything?
No, ma'am. As far as the robbery is concerned, she just saw them leaving the location.
And how much cash was taken from the Cricket location?
I'm not 100% sure on the amount. I know it was more than 300. I know that.
So you believe it's more than 300?
Yes, ma'am.
Was the Clayton County CSI called to the Cricket location?
No, ma'am.
Where was the white SUV found?
The white Chrysler?
Yes, the white Chrysler 200.
The DeKalb County Police Department got into a vehicle pursuit with the vehicle. And during the pursuit, the vehicle was stopped, and they saw two females exiting the vehicle. Miss Lockett wearing the blue suit, and another female. I don't exactly have her clothing description on my person. And another female, Miss Matthews, leaving the vehicle. We're trying to leave the vehicle, and they caught Miss Matthews.
Give me 1 second, Judge. Who called 911?
For the Cricket Wireless incident?
Yes, sir.
I believe it was Miss Ortiz, but I'm not sure.
And will that 911 recording be submitted into evidence?
Yes, it's already in evidence, ma'am. I don't recall exactly who called 911.
And I know we also talked about the co-defendant statements, but have any of those been recorded as far as Miss Matthews? Do you know if her statement has?
Miss Matthews' statement was recorded.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor. The state rests.
All right. Arguments?
Yes, Your Honor. So I understand that this is a probable cause hearing, Your Honor, but we're trying to find the basis of the probable cause for parties to a crime, specifically armed robbery. And OCG 16-2-20 states to be a party to a crime, that person has to directly commit the crime, intentionally cause another to commit that crime, intentionally aids and abets in the commission of that crime, intentionally advises, encourages, and counsel. Your Honor, from the testimony, we have not heard that Miss Lockett, anything about Miss Lockett encouraging, counseling, planning any of this armed robbery with pepper spray. She's not the person.
There was a cell phone dump. Didn't he say something about a cell phone dump with her cell phone?
Yes, Your Honor, but that her cell phone was also found in the car. So we'll get into the information about the car, but the cars also belong to Miss Matthews. This is the individual who's creating this entire scenario. Okay, and so Miss Lockett, even though her MasterCard with Bowden is in the car, she's present. I am not discounting the presence of being in these places. But according to the video footage, as well as the testimony that we also just heard, what is the basis of directly committing, intentionally aiding or abetting? Also, OCGA 16841, armed robbery. A person commits the offense of armed robbery with intent to commit theft. She takes the property of another from another person's or their immediate property in their presence. That's not what occurred here. And I'm not disputing that Ms. Lockett was in the place of those, but I am also bringing up the state has not met its burden for probable cause to show that she directly committed, that she aided and abetted, or that she encouraged those other two individuals, not even her vehicle. And I would ask this court to dismiss the charge of armed robbery or the charge of parties to the crime of armed robbery, Your Honor.
Ms. Freeman, Attorney Freeman.
Thank you, Judge. I'm not sure if Attorney Helen did not hear the testimony. Oh, the testimony from Sergeant Gerald. It was clear that he stated what was observed on the video surveillance with Ms. Lockett entering in the location, leaving, coming back with all three with her co-defendants. She didn't have to be the one to pull the pepper spray, but she was there when they removed the cash and they all exited out. A result of the cell phone dump showed text messages amongst all of them, planning to do the robberies. The one co-defendant indicated the reason why was to get money to get their hair done. So I think it's clear that Ms. Lockett certainly played an active role. She participated, she helped plan in the armed robbery. And so we would ask that the charge of armed robbery be bound over to Superior Court.
All right, based on the evidence presented in court today, I do find sufficient probable cause to bound the case over to Superior Court of Clayton County. All right.
Judge, may Sergeant Gerald be excused?
Yes, you're excused, Sergeant Gerald.
Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you, Judge.
Yes, ma'am. Ladies, you have a good day.
You too.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
And Judge, did you indicate which hearing you wanted to do next? If you wanted to do Carter, that is with Mr. Gubo, or did you want to do Redding with Attorney Florio? And Ms. Watkins does have both of those. We just have to get the officer.
Okay. Mr. Gubo, which one was your case?
My case would be the Carter. Carter. Yeah.
Thank you, Judge.
Mm-hmm.
Investigator Ho will he'll work to get that officer on.
Okay. I'll be sitting here until you get your officer on.
I did want to make sure that the jail, because I know they were asking to send people back, and just so they understand, the only people left should be Carter and Redding.
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, welcome. We're finished with Ms. Lockett. She can go back.
Your Honor, my next question.
Yes.
Yes. What all inmates can go back to their assigned cells, or?
The only two, everybody except for Devon Carter, and let me get the other one. Hold on.
It'd be Quindarius Redding, Judge.
And Reddit.
Yeah, everybody else can go back.
Carter and Reddit.
Is that Carter and Redding?
Yeah.
Everybody can go back. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Hello?
Yep, just a moment. We'll wait for everybody to come back so we can start the hearing.
I'm clear.
Attorney Freeman, are you doing this hearing?
No, Judge, ADA Watkins has it.
Okay, is she ready? Because he's here.
She had just stepped away for a couple minutes. She should be back in, give her a couple of minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Good afternoon, Judge ADA Watkins for the state. I'm ready on Carter whenever the court is ready.
Okay. At the jail, are you guys going to bring Mr. Carter up? All right, we're streaming live on YouTube. All parties have announced ready. This is the state of Georgia versus Devon Carter. He's charged with aggravated assault and warrant number 2021 CW 50547, terroristic threats or acts in 2021 CW 50548, and armed robbery in 2021 CW 50549. Criminal damage to property in the second degree is 2021 CW 50550. Present for the state is Attorney Watkins, and representing the defendant is Attorney Gubo, and the defendant is present, currently incarcerated in the Clayton County jail. Your witness, Ms. Watkins.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, officer. How are you?
All right, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give today before this court in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
You can lower your hand. Please state your true and correct name for the record.
My name is Demetrius Christian,
And with whom are you currently employed?
Clayton County Police Department.
And what's your job title at the Clayton County Police Department?
I'm a uniform officer.
Officer Christian, are you currently post-certified?
Yes, I am.
Great. And how long have you been with the Clayton County Police Department?
Going on 2 years.
And you said you're currently a uniform officer. What do your day-to-day duties entail?
I patrol the streets and answer calls.
And have you done that for the entire 2 years that you've been with Clayton County Police Department?
Yes.
Officer Christian, I want to direct your attention to two particular dates, the first or two incidents that occurred on the same date.
Your Honor, I would like to know if there's another witness so that there's no issue of sequestration, like the issue of sequestration.
Do you have any other witnesses, Attorney Watkins?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Sorry, but thank you so much.
Officer Christian, I want to direct your attention to two particular incidents that occurred on the same date. That date is January 28th of 2021. Were you working on that date?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you working in your official capacity as a Clayton County police officer?
Yes, ma'am.
And just to be clear, you were in fact post-certified on that date?
Yes, ma'am.
Officer, did you have the occasion to respond to 745 Mount Zion Road in Jonesboro, Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
And what county is that address located in?
That's in Clayton County.
Tell me, why did you respond to that location?
I responded to that location in reference to a domestic disturbance.
Okay. And when you, prior to responding, how did you get there?
I drove my patrol vehicle.
Okay. And were you in uniform?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you dispatched there, or did you just happen to drive across the scene that you needed to respond to?
I was dispatched to that incident location.
And when you were dispatched, what information, if any, did you have regarding the incident?
It was over a domestic dispute. A young lady by the name of Lumpkin was trying to get her items, and she advised that another subject had pointed a firearm at her as well while she was getting her items.
When you say a young lady by the name of Lumpkin, do you know her first name?
Her first name, I believe, is Asia.
Okay. And do you, were you familiar with Ms. Lumpkin prior to this
No,
incident?
that was my first time.
And what did Ms. Lumpkin advise you when you responded to the 745 Mount Zion Road location?
She advised me she was in a residence. She was getting her items, packing her items up, trying to move out. She advised the gentleman walked in with a firearm and said, "Why is he here?" She was speaking of her friend. He was speaking of her friend, Cleon Bennett. And once they went upstairs, as they got in a verbal argument, when she was walking downstairs, he fired one round towards the ground. I did observe a minor laceration to her leg. He then later came down the stairs and took the Bennett phone, pointed the gun at Bennett, took his phone, and threw the phone towards the ground. That's what I was advised.
Officer, when Ms. Lumpkin provided this information to you, y'all were still at 745 Mount Zion Road, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Where did this incident occur, though, that she was advising you of?
It occurred at her apartments at 855 Mount Zion Road.
Okay. And is that information detailed in your report?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And would that address be 855 Mount Zion Road, apartment F2 in Jonesboro, Georgia?
Yes.
And what county is that address in?
Clay County.
Did Ms. Lumpkin provide you any information regarding who the male was that she was having a confrontation with?
Yes, it was her ex-boyfriend.
Okay, and did she give you a name for that person?
Yes, she gave me his name. His name was Devon Carter.
Now, officer, when you were having this conversation with Ms. Lumpkin, I know we've mentioned the address a couple of times, but where was that?
It was at the BP gas station. That's where I met her at.
Okay, and when you were having this conversation with her at the BP gas station, was she there with anyone else?
She was there with a friend. I cannot remember his name, but he drove her over there.
Was it the same friend who was at her residence?
No.
Okay. Was she, was Mr. Carter also there at the BP gas station?
Mr. Carter was not there.
Okay. At any point during your conversation with Ms. Lumpkin, did you relocate back to her apartment?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And about when did you do that during your involvement?
About an hour later, I believe.
Did Ms. Lumpkin go with you?
Yes, she did.
Okay. And when you got there, what observations did you make?
I observed shattered glass that was in the hallway by the front door. I observed looked like a bullet fragment. I'm not 100% sure, but it was a dent in the floor that I observed that she said that's where the bullet had hit, but I could not locate the bullet. That was the only issue.
Okay. When you made those observations, was there anybody at the home other than yourself, Ms. Lumpkin, and presumably her friend who drove her?
No, it was just me and her.
Okay.
Her friend didn't come in.
And so again, Mr. Carter, the person that Ms. Lumpkin stated she was having the confrontation with, was not at the residence either.
No, he was not at the residence.
When you spoke with Ms. Lumpkin, did she provide you any details about what their argument was about?
It was basically she had another male in the house helping her move out, and that's when he came in the house irate about the male being inside the residence.
Do you know if this was a shared residence?
Yes, it was. It was hers and it was his, she stated.
Okay. And by his, is that Mr. Carter?
Mr. Carter, yes.
Okay. Do you know how long the two of them had lived together?
Approximately a year.
And when Ms. Lumpkin stated she was attempting to move out, what did she say Mr. Carter did anything specifically physically did anything other than the verbal argument?
Basically just the fired the shot and the verbal argument, and stuck the firearm at Mr. Bennett's face.
Was she able to provide you a description of the firearm?
She said it was she knew it was a 9mm, but she could not provide any make or model.
You mentioned earlier that you noticed damage, some glass broken. Was that glass associated with that residence that was broken?
No, it was associated with the victim's cell phone.
Okay. And what kind of phone did she have?
It was an iPhone 11. It wasn't her phone. It was the male phone.
Okay. Mr. Bennett's phone.
Correct.
All right. And did you have a chance to speak with Mr. Bennett at all?
Yes, I spoke to Mr. Bennett via telephone, and he said he would come in to our headquarters to write a report, an incident report.
And did he ever do that?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. When you spoke with him via telephone, did you have any additional conversation other than him stating he would come in to the police department?
Yes, that was the only conversation we had. He said he had to go to work later that morning. So that was his issue why he couldn't come back at that time.
All right. Did he give you an account of what happened?
Yes. Yes.
What did he tell you happened?
He stated that he was helping his friend move out the residence. The subject came in, the offender came in, stuck, they got in a verbal argument. They went upstairs. As he was grabbing items to go outside the house, he heard a single shot. And that's when he said the offender came downstairs and stuck the gun in his face, made him lay down, and broke his phone.
Now, when he said he made him lay down, can you explain to me in a little bit more detail exactly what happened that between the defendant pointing a firearm and Mr. Bennett being required to lay down on the ground?
The defendant said he was scared. He said the gun was in his face. He said he was told to lay down. That's what he did.
And when he laid down, did Mr. Bennett still have his phone in his possession?
He took his phone as he was laying down. He said, "Give me your phone," and he took the phone.
And by he, again, you mean Mr. Carter took Mr. Bennett's phone?
Mr. Carter, yes.
Were you, when you arrived on scene, you saw shattered glass associated with the phone, correct?
Correct.
Did you see the phone in the residence?
I do not. I can't answer at this moment. I'll see y'all.
Officer, give me just one moment. Officer, were there any, did either Ms. Lumpkin or Mr. Bennett provide any, state to you that Mr. Carter told them anything?
Can you rephrase that? What did you say?
Sure. During your time speaking with Ms. Lumpkin and Mr. Bennett, did they say that the defendant, Mr. Carter, made any statements to them?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered. The witness has been providing what the two alleged victims has told them. So I don't see why we keep asking the same questions.
Your response, Attorney Watkins?
Your Honor, I'm just asking the officer if there's anything else that he recalls that was stated during his conversations with the victims in this case.
Okay, overruled. You can
Officer, officer, do you, let me
No.
ask the question. Do you recall if there was anything else?
Not at this moment.
Okay. Is there anything that would help you refresh your recollection?
The only thing I could look at is my report.
And do you have access to your report?
I do.
Okay. Attorney Gubo, Your Honor, Officer Christian, just hold for me for one moment. Attorney Gubo, do you have the police report in this case?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask that the witness be allowed to refresh his recollection by reviewing his police report. I think you said yes, but
yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Christian, could you review your police report?
Yes, on my police report, it states that he stated that he would kill him.
And can you give me that in terms of who stated what?
The offender stated that he would kill the victim.
And which victim did he make that statement toward?
He made it to Clayton, Mr. Bennett.
Okay. And that was, again, during the same occurrence with them at the residence located at 855 Mount Zion Road, apartment F2?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Officer Christian. Your Honor, no further questions.
Okay. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Officer, are you the lead investigator in this case?
Yes, I am.
And as a lead investigator, have you spoken to any other officers about this case?
No.
Have you reviewed all reports and or supplements in this case?
I review my report, my incident report.
That's the only report that has been made on this case?
Yes, that's the only report of my knowledge that was made on this case.
And that's going to be included in the file provided to the DA, right?
Yes.
Turning to the interview with alleged victims. So can you tell me again the names of the people that interviewed?
Interviewed Lumpkins, and I interviewed the victim, Mr. Bennett.
And do you know if they have talked to any other officer other than you?
I can't answer that. I was the leading officer, so I handled the report.
All right. Did you tape the interview with both of the alleged victims?
Do I have video recording of the incident?
Video or audio?
Yes, I do.
And will those be included in the provided, and will they be included in the file provided to the DA?
Of course.
And you said it's video, right? Just to make sure it's not audio or video. Or
it's
both?
Video and audio.
Okay, thank you so much. And on what date was the interview done?
It was the interview on the same date of the incident.
What time?
At around 12:23 a.m. approximately.
And did you talk to any other witnesses regarding this incident?
I spoke to them too.
Say that again?
I spoke to both of the victims.
Any other witnesses?
No, I haven't.
Okay. And let's see here. When you talked to Mrs. Lampkin, did she tell you that she's upset about my client dating another girl?
Yeah, I mean, she probably mentioned that, yes. She did not say she was upset about him dating another female. She stated that he dates another female.
So she mentioned that, right? How
she stated that.
Do you remember what exactly she said to you?
No, I can remember she stated that he dated another female and the female brought him to the residence. That's how he initially got to the residence.
Officer, did she tell you that the other girl is pregnant?
No, she did not.
And did she tell you that the other girl is about to give birth?
No, she did not.
And did she tell you that she had been threatening to send my client to jail before this alleged incident took place?
No, she did not.
And did you know that when my client arrived at the house, one of the alleged victims was hiding in the house?
I have no knowledge of that.
All right. Turning to the discussion about the weapon, did any witness give you the description of the weapon?
Yes, she said a black handgun, a 9mm. She could not recall the make or model.
And were you able to recover the weapon used?
No.
And you said in your direct testimony that you didn't see any bullets.
No, I did not see no bullets.
And no. And did you see anyone who has been hit by the bullets?
She was hit by fragment from the bullet.
And were you able to take the pictures?
Everything is recorded on my body camera.
And will it be included in the file provided to the DA?
Yes.
Turning to the item that has been mentioned, can you describe the item that has my client allegedly took, or what do you do? What do you do about the item? Tell me about it.
What do you mean? What do I do about the item?
What did my client allegedly do with the item, the phone?
He broke his phone. He threw the phone to the ground. He broke the phone.
So according to your testimony today, all he did was he broke it, right?
Correct.
And when you arrived at the scene, would the item still there?
No, it wasn't there. Not from my recalling. I would have to watch body camera. But no, I seen pieces of shattered glass that relates to a phone.
But you would remember if the phone was there, right? I mean, it's obvious that you would have remembered it, right?
That's a long time ago, sir.
All right. So do you know who the phone belongs to?
It belonged to Bennett.
All right. When it comes to the issue of the aggravated assault, did you know that at the time my client was actually startled because there was someone in the house and he didn't expect the person to be there?
So the first thing he do was pull a weapon out?
I mean, are you aware that when my client walked into the house, he didn't expect one of the other victims to be in the house?
No, I'm not aware of that.
And are you aware that he was actually startled and he was actually shocked to see him there?
Again, they give you a right to pull a firearm out? I'm
just asking, you just have to answer my question, sir.
Okay. No, I haven't spoken to your client.
So you didn't have any conversation with my client, did you?
No.
And Your Honor, that's all the questions I have.
Can you redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Officer Christian,
yes,
with respect to the relationship between both Ms. Lumpkin and Defendant Carter, you weren't aware of any history between the two of them, were you?
No.
Okay. Would that have changed how you proceeded with your investigation?
No.
Based on the information that was provided to you from Ms. Lumpkin, did you see supporting evidence at the scene?
I did.
Did you speak with Mr. Bennett regarding the incident?
Yes, and he gave the same story. They was no near around. No, they wasn't near each other. Their story matched up.
And so
there wasn't no conflict in the story.
And so based on the information that Mr. Bennett provided, that too was corroborated by the evidence from the scene?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. With respect to the phone that belonged to Mr. Bennett.
Yes.
Was the phone the item that was taken from Mr. Bennett at gunpoint, according to the testimony of Ms. Lumpkin and Mr. Bennett?
Yes, it was. That was his phone.
That's the same iPhone 11 that was thrown to the ground and the screen was broken?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the same iPhone 11 that you saw the shattered glass in the residence in relation to?
That's the same phone. They explained that it would be shattered glass from that phone, and that's what I saw.
When you arrived at the residence, though, Mr. Bennett was not there, correct?
No.
Okay. And you don't know, you don't recall if there was a cell phone still at the scene when you arrived?
No, ma'am, I cannot recall.
Okay. No further questions, John. Thank you, Officer Christian.
All right.
Any cross based on her question, her redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. Officer, as investigator, when you investigate a crime, you look into the motives, right?
Yes, I do.
So when people have relationship issues, that could sometimes provide a motive for allegations. Am I right?
Sometimes they do.
And possibly this could be one of those cases, right?
No, I do not believe so.
Based on your training and experience, officer, you know that this could be one of those instances, right?
No.
I have no further questions.
Okay, based on the evidence presented today, I do find sufficient probable cause to bound over the case to Superior Court of Clayton County.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No, you're welcome.
Officer Christian, may Officer Christian be excused?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
All
Thank you,
right,
Officer.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You ready for the last case?
Yes, ma'am. That report has been emailed to Attorney Florio. So
Okay. You have the report, Attorney Florio?
I'm sure if Ms. Watkins says it, I'm sure I do. I'll check my email really quick.
it's from Attorney Freeman, ADA Freeman.
Yes, ma'am, I do. Yes, ma'am, I'll print it right now. Thank y'all.
So we're just waiting on the officer now.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. I knew it was you.
Your Honor, are you able to go in the breakout room really quickly with myself, Mr. Gubo, and ADA Watkins?
Attorney Reddick, did you call my name?
Yes, I asked the judge if all of us could go in the breakout room. Myself, you, Mr. Gubo, and Your Honor.
And Attorney Watkins, when the officer comes, I'm gonna pull you out of that room. So, because we're gonna do this hearing.
Yes,
Your Honor,
ma'am.
you need to be, I'm asking that you be in the room as well.
Okay, well, as soon as the officer comes, we gotta go back and do the hearing, but hold on.
We got a few minutes, Your Honor. He is parking and heading in, so
Okay.
I don't know how long the Zoom will take, the breakout room will take, but he's getting logged in.
All right, one moment. Mr. Gubar, are you back?
Yeah.
Okay, we're still on the record. We're still streaming live on YouTube. What did you want to say on behalf of your client?
Yeah, Your Honor,
Your
this
Honor,
is
we need the client at the podium.
Is he there?
Yeah, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. We couldn't hear you.
Okay. Is Mr. Carter, did you already bring?
That's Mr.
Yeah, I understand. I'm asking, did they bring Mr. Carter back already?
No, we sent him down, Judge. I thought you were through with him.
No, they need to put something on the record.
Okay, okay, I'm gonna have to call him back. It's probably gonna take about 10 minutes to get him back
Well,
up.
then we'll do this hearing and then he can put whatever he needs to put on the record.
Okay.
So whenever we finish the hearing, he can put this on the record.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. You know how long it's going to take you to bring him back?
Probably about 10, maybe 12 minutes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Well, if he makes it back before the officer logs on, we'll do it. So whoever comes first. All right, the officer is present, so let's start the hearing on Mr. Redding.
Your Honor, at the outset, I want to place on the records, I know we just encountered it in our last hearing with Attorney Florio. This officer will be testifying. He is also an undercover officer, and for that reason has requested that since we are live streaming, that he be allowed to maintain his mask.
Okay.
Your Honor, may I inquire who the state's witness is in this matter?
Yes, it is Detective
Caleb.
Yes.
Detective Caleb. You hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It's Detective Caleb with the Clayton County Police Department.
Yes, it's hard to tell who it is, but if he says that's who he is, I'm sure that's who he is.
We're streaming live on YouTube. The parties have announced ready. This is the state of Georgia versus Quindarius Redden. He's charged with violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act and warrant number 2021 WA 02462. He's charged with possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime in 2021 WA 02464, violation of the Georgia Controlled Substance Act in 2021 WA 02465, trafficking in 2021 WA 02466, use or possession of drug-related objects and warrant number 2021 WA 02467, another count of violation of the Georgia Controlled Substance Act in 2021 WA 02468. Present for the state is going to be Attorney Watkins. Defendant is present and currently incarcerated in Clayton County Jail, represented by Attorney Thomas Florio. Your witness, Attorney Watkins.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Caleb, welcome. How are you this afternoon?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thanks for asking. Go ahead and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you'll give today before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And you can lower your right hand. Please state your true, correct, and legal name for the record.
Detective Caleb with the Clayton County Police Department.
And how long have you been employed with the Clayton County Police Department?
14 years.
I'm sorry, can you say that for me one more time?
14 years.
Okay. And during your 14 years with the Clayton County Police Department, have you been post-certified?
Yes.
And was that for the duration of your employment?
Yes.
And are you currently post-certified?
Yes.
During your 14 years, what division are you currently assigned to?
Currently assigned to the Drug Task Force.
And how long have you been so assigned?
Since October of 2020.
Prior to your time on the Drug Task Force, where were you assigned?
Uniform patrol.
And how long were you on uniform patrol?
3 years, I believe, maybe 2.
And prior to uniform patrol, where were you assigned?
Criminal investigations.
Okay. And was that for the balance of the 14 years minus the 2 years in uniform patrol in October to now with the Drug Task Force?
No, I've in internal affairs, backgrounds and recruiting, uniform. I've been all over the place.
Okay. But currently you're assigned to the Drug Task Force.
Yes.
Okay. I want to direct your attention to a particular date in question. Were you working on January 22nd of 2021 as a officer with the Clayton County Police Department?
Yes.
And were you working in your current capacity assigned to the Drug Task Force?
Yes, as a detective, yes.
What are your duties as a detective with the Drug Task Force?
Drug enforcement, any kind of illegal activity to do with drugs.
Okay. And so do you initiate cases or do they get brought to you? What specifically, how does that work?
Situation. It's situational. Some are assigned to us and some we start on our own.
Okay. On January 22nd of 2021, did you work a case, were you involved with a case that included Quindarius Redden?
Yes.
Can you explain to me what your involvement was in that case?
We obtained search warrants for an address in Atlanta, 228 Morrow Road, apartment 14A, Forest Park.
Okay. And can you, sorry, I don't write nearly as quickly as you speak. Can you give me that address one more time?
Going to be 228 Morrow Road,
okay,
apartment 14A. And that's Forest Park.
And is that here in Clayton County?
Yes.
Detective, when you say you got search warrants, was there some version of an investigation or that brought Mr. Redden to the attention of the Clayton County Police Department prior to the search warrants being obtained?
Yes, we were investigating a complaint at that address, reference to some controlled buys that occurred at that location over a course of time.
Okay. And based on that investigation, a search warrant was determined to be desirable for that location?
Yes.
Was the search warrant ultimately obtained?
Yes.
And was the search warrant executed?
Yes, on that date.
And that date again being January 22nd. Is that correct? Is there a bit of lag time for anyone else, or is it my computer? Okay. Detective, there seems to be a bit of lag time. Can you give that answer again? Was the date that the search warrant was executed January 22nd?
Yes.
Okay. And were you present for the execution of the search warrant?
Yes.
Were you the lead officer who obtained the search warrant?
Yes.
Okay. And what was your basis for obtaining the search warrant?
We're conducting surveillance at the incident location. We obtained some controlled buys at the location. That's what led to the search warrants.
And after you obtained the search warrant, were you physically involved in entering the premises and observing and potentially collecting any items from inside?
Yes.
All right. Do you recall offhand all of the items that were recovered during the search warrant, if any?
Can I refer to my notes in reference to the inventory sheet?
Before you do that, do you recall off the top of your head all of the items?
Not off the top, no, I would have to reference it. I know there were drugs, I know there were weapons, some cell phones, or an abundance of evidence.
Okay. And is there something that would help you refresh your recollection?
Inventory sheet from the search warrant.
Okay. And do you have access to that inventory sheet?
Yes.
And is that inventory sheet a part of the investigative summary?
Yes.
And Attorney Floyer, do you have access to the investigative summary and inventory sheet?
What was
If I
that
may
last?
just inquire, is the inventory sheet for the search warrant the same as the evidence property sheet? Or did you prepare two separate documents, Detective
They're
Clayton?
two separate documents.
So I don't have the evidence, I don't have the inventory sheet from the search warrant, but I do have the evidence sheet as part of his case file.
Detective, is there any other place, with the exception of the inventory sheet from the search warrant, that this information would be included either in the police report or evidence submission sheets or anything of that nature?
It is on my summary, that incident, and I have the evidence sheet, I believe.
Okay. And does the summary included, the information included in the summary, does that contain all of the information that you would want to provide that would have otherwise been included on the inventory sheet from the search warrant? Detective Caleb?
He looked like he's froze.
Yes. Detective Caleb, I believe you're trying to talk. The green keeps lighting up around your name, but there's a bit of a disconnect. We're not hearing anything and you're not moving on screen. Okay. Detective Caleb? I see you. You're now muted if you're speaking.
Can you see?
Yes, we can see you. Can you hear me?
It just looks like it's unstable.
Detective Caleb, is there another location in the building that you're in where you could relocate that might have better internet connection? You seem to be breaking up a bit.
Okay. All right.
Detective Caleb?
You're muted.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're moving. Okay, we heard you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's try that again. Is the information regarding the items obtained during the search warrant contained in your investigative summary?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the same information that would be on the inventory sheet from the search warrant?
Yes.
Are you able then to testify from the investigative summary as opposed to the inventory sheet since neither myself nor Attorney Florio have the inventory sheet from the search warrant.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So would reviewing the investigative summary refresh your recollection to all the items, if any, that were obtained during the search warrant?
Yes.
Would you take a moment to review that?
Okay.
Were there items obtained from the search conducted at 228 Morrow Road, number 14A?
Yes,
and
ma'am.
What items were those?
We had a gray bag containing approximately 1042 grams of suspected GLM. We had a fanny pack with 119 approximately oxycodone pills. Orange bag containing approximately 303 grams of suspected GLM. A leopard print bag containing 20 45 caliber rounds, 18 9mm rounds in a magazine. We had a cell phone, digital scale, 2 iPhones, a Taurus G2C 9mm with a magazine, 6 357 Magnum rounds, a Springfield handgun with a run chamber, a magazine for 9mm, a Taurus 357 Magnum revolver, a black bag containing approximately 563 grams of suspected GLM, approximately 64 grams of GLM, approximately 11 grams of suspected MDMA, approximately 110 grams of suspected GLM, an iPhone, scale, 7 other digital scales, 49 grams of suspected GLM, THC edibles, 152 grams of suspected GLM, 35 grams of suspected MDMA, food saver, and 2 iPhones.
Detective, I want to go through some of these items a little bit more in detail. GLM is mentioned multiple times in the report, and you've stated it as such. What does GLM stand for?
Marijuana.
Okay. And so each time that you just stated an approximate gram or number of grams of GLM, did each of those instances stand for marijuana?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you note in the report and as you testified, GLM multiple times. Does that mean why? Why did you mention it multiple times?
It was mentioned multiple times because it was found in multiple locations.
And so is each of the quantities that you mentioned separately a separate location of GLM that was located in the residence? Detective Caleb, was each of the times that you mentioned a separate quantity of marijuana, a separate location where you found the suspected marijuana inside the residence?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you recall specifically, I apologize, the location that was searched, what type of location was it?
It was an apartment.
And do you recall how many rooms there were in the apartment?
The kitchen, like a dining room area, a living room area, a bedroom to the right, and a bedroom to the front of the apartment, and a restroom.
Okay. So if I understand, there were 2 bedrooms and the other common areas in the residence.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were searching these items, where were they found?
Okay. The gray bag containing the different amounts of GLM was the secondary bedroom closet. There was a fanny pack containing white pills. That was in the secondary bedroom closet. The orange bag was in the bedroom closet. 9mm rounds were in the bedroom in the closet, master bedroom. The cell phones was on a person of Quandarius. A digital scale was found in a table in the dining room. 2 Apple cell phones were on the person of the other Redden brother, Kendarius with a K. Taurus G2C was found in the living room. The .357 Magnum was found in the kitchen cabinet. Sprinkle Armory weapon was found in the kitchen. The magazine was in the cabinet in the kitchen. Taurus .357 Magnum in the cabinet in the kitchen. A black bag containing GLM was in the master bedroom closet. 64 grams of GLM was located in a box in the master bedroom closet. 11 grams of MDMA on the living room floor. The red iPhone was in the living room couch. The scale, the small scale was found located in the room TV stand. Digital scale was found in the kitchen. 49 grams of GLM top shelf in the kitchen. THC edible in the same place. More GLM in a black bag.
Detective,
35 grams.
Give me one moment. We're at the 152 grams of GLM. I know it was breaking up more so than the rest of it, but where was that 152 grams of GLM located?
Said 152?
Yes. It was the last 2 things that you were mentioning.
Okay, 1 second.
Was it before the edibles, the THC edibles?
It was right after the edibles, Your Honor.
Okay, I meant to say 169. 1 gram GLM was located in a black backpack, along with 489 grams, 54 grams, 26 grams, and 8 grams. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think I heard you say that we're located in a black backpack. Is that correct?
Blue and black.
Okay. All right. And then the suspected MDMA?
Found in that, also in that blue and black backpack.
Okay. And the 2 iPhones, the black and silver.
They were found in the kitchen area, and a heat sealer food table was found in the kitchen.
Thank you. Detective, did you conduct any field tests of any of the found narcotics?
Yes, I didn't personally, no, I didn't.
Was a
But
field
they
test
were,
conducted?
yes.
And what was tested and what was the result from the field test?
According to the notes, MDMA was field tested positive.
Okay. Detective, were any occupants located inside the residence at the time of the search?
Yes.
Okay. Who?
Kendarius Redden, Quandarius Redden, and I can't remember the third subject's name. Give me 1 second. The third subject was Mario West.
And all 3 individuals were inside of the residence at the time of the search warrant?
One was found in the bathroom in the rear of the apartment. One was right outside the apartment in the staircase area. And Mr. West was found in, I think, the dining room area, laying that it was in the dining room area.
Okay. Can you be specific and tell me who was found where?
I believe Condarius was found in the bathroom in the back room. Quindarius was found in the staircase.
Okay. And is that staircase inside or outside of the apartment?
It's outside the kitchen door of the apartment, but the back door is locked and you can't exit from that area. So, or I'm sorry, you can't just walk into that area. You can exit from it, but you can't just walk in. So you could just leave that back door and, you know, you have access to the stairs.
Detective, when the search warrant was conducted, were the three individuals, Mr. Quindarius, Mr. Kendarius, and Mr. Mario West, taken into custody?
Yes.
And were they interviewed?
I'm sorry?
Were they interviewed?
Yes.
And did you conduct that interview of the individuals?
No, I did not.
Do you know the results of the interview of, specifically to this hearing, Mr. Quindarius Redden?
I was told that they didn't want to talk, so.
Okay. Thank you, Detective. No further questions.
All right, cross-examination, Attorney Florio.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, Detective Caleb.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
Doing well, sir. How are you?
Good.
So let's go back. I understood you to say that there was a prior investigation, and let me ask you, was that investigation into these individuals? Was that investigation into the apartment? Tell us about that prior investigation.
Yeah, the prior investigation was in reference to the individuals and in reference to the apartment.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you, when did this investigation begin?
I have to refer to my notes.
Yes, sir, please.
Okay, the investigation started approximately January 12th, 2021.
Okay. And what was it that started that investigation?
I was in reference to a drug complaint.
Okay. And do you know who made that complaint?
I'm not sure. I was in training at the time, and my training officer assigned it to me once the complaint came out.
Who's your training officer?
It was Detective Wilkerson. He no longer works here with us.
Okay. And so was Wilkerson the detective that began this investigation, or was there someone else that began it?
I couldn't answer that. I'm not sure if somebody else began it or not. It was assigned to me after they did their controlled buys.
Okay, so there were control buys done prior to your involvement in this case. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I couldn't answer that.
Okay. Well, were there controlled buys done?
Yes.
Okay. What member of your agency or what law enforcement officer was involved in those controlled buys?
Detective Wilkerson.
Okay. Was there anybody else involved?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Have you had a chance to review the entire case file as it relates to this case?
Yeah, somewhat, not all the way.
Okay. Is there an agent that who is the agent that is in charge of this case and this investigation?
I am now. Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Is there any agency currently with Clayton County Police that would have more information or more knowledge of this investigation other than yourself?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right. And are you familiar with all aspects of this investigation?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so let's go back. Are you familiar or aware as to whether or not, are there any videos or pictures of these controlled buys conducted by Detective Wilkerson?
Not that I know of. You said video? No.
Yes, sir. Let's start. I'll break it down. Are you aware as to whether or not there's any video related to these controlled buys conducted by Detective Wilkerson?
No video, no.
Okay, what about photographs? Are you aware as to whether or not there's any photographs related to these controlled buys conducted by Detective Wilkerson?
Yes.
There are pictures, okay?
Yes.
And are those pictures are currently part of the case file, is that correct?
Yes.
Have you had a chance to review those pictures?
Yeah, I'm reviewing it now, yes.
Okay, what do those pictures show, Detective Caleb?
The drugs that were purchased during the incident.
Okay. Does your case file reflect who was a part of these controlled buys? Who law enforcement alleges sold these drugs?
I guess I'm misunderstanding your question. Can you repeat it?
Yes, sir. Who did Wilkerson make the controlled buys from?
The defendant is Quindarius Redden. He's listed as a suspect.
I understand he's a suspect. He's charged with trafficking. I get that. But who did Detective Wilkerson allege that he made these controlled buys from?
Quindarius Redden.
Okay. What date? Kendarius or Quindarius? I'm sorry, your video is breaking up.
Quinn with the Q. Quindarius.
What dates does Detective Wilkerson allege he made control buys from Quindarius Redden?
Well, within 72 hours of January 14th.
Is that 72 hours prior to January 14th or 72 hours after January 14th?
Time.
Detective Caleb, I'm sorry.
Within that time frame?
Yeah, I understand that, but was it the 72 hours before January 14th or the 72 hours after January 14th?
Within 72 hours of that date.
But before or after, sir?
I'm not sure what you're saying, so it's.
Are you saying it was 72, the 3 days before January 14th or the 3 days after January 14th? Are we talking about 14, 15, 16, 17? Or are we talking about 17, 18, 19, 20? What 3 days are you talking about?
I don't have exact times for that date. No.
Are there reports in your case file that evidence controlled buys were conducted?
Yes.
Okay. And have you reviewed your case file?
I'm reviewing it right now. Yes, sir.
Okay. And did Detective Wilkerson identify specific dates?
Date, yes. No specific times within 72 hours. So.
What dates does your report say?
January 14th.
Okay. And so are we talking, there was a controlled buy made on January 14th. Is that your testimony?
Yes.
And who was that controlled buy from?
From, it says Quindarius Redden as a suspect.
All right. And does it allege a dollar amount of narcotics that was sold?
Yes.
How much?
Hold on 1 second. No, it doesn't.
Does it allege a type of drug that was sold?
Yes, suspected MDMA.
Okay. Does it allege a weight, an amount of MDMA that was sold?
Approximately 14.96 grams.
Now, is that the same 14.96 grams that you've included in this case file that goes towards the trafficking weight on January 22nd?
No.
Okay. And are you also alleging as part of your case that there was 14.96 grams of methamphetamine, ecstasy located as part of the January 22nd case?
Let me refer. Hold on. You said January 22nd?
Yes, sir.
What was that weight again?
14.96. Judge, I'll strike that question. I'll ask it a little bit cleaner.
Okay.
Okay. So you allege on January 14th of 2021 that there was a buy for 14.96 grams of suspected MDMA. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you believe, or you've testified that that buy was made from Kendarius Redden. Is that correct?
Suspected.
Okay. But have you alleged Quendarius or Kendarius? Q or K?
Q.
Okay. Have you had a chance to review the evidence submission form which was submitted to the GBI, Detective Caleb?
No.
Okay. Is that part of your case file?
Not right now. No, it's not.
Okay. Are you have you reviewed, so you're not familiar with that document at all, are you?
Not currently, no.
Okay. So you don't know who's identified as the source individual in that document. Is that correct?
I'm not familiar with that document right now.
Okay. When y'all fill out the document and send the evidence to the GBI, is the source individual the person that y'all received the drugs from?
Suspected.
Okay. And if that source individual was identified as someone other than Quendarius Redden, would it be because that's the person that the drugs were received from?
It depends. I mean, it's not documented right here, so I couldn't answer that.
Okay. So there was a January 14th controlled buy, and it's your testimony that that involved Quendarius Redden.
Yes.
Okay. And it was only Detective Wilkerson involved with that controlled buy. Is that correct?
No, it was members of the drug task force.
Okay. Who else?
Just members of the drug task force.
Yeah, I got that. Who else?
Including myself.
Oh, so you were involved with the January 14th control buy?
I was in training.
Okay. Well, were you involved with the January 14th control buy or were you not?
In a capacity.
What capacity?
Training.
What sort of training were you involved with as it relates to this control buy?
I was in the control buy training with Detective Wilkerson. Okay.
So was he training you? Was this January 4th control buy? Was this part of y'all's training or were you at a class? Where was this training taking place?
It's a field training and it wasn't January 4th. It was January 14th.
Right. Okay. And so I understand that, but we're talking about January 14th. Okay. Okay. So January 14th, who was involved in that control buy?
Myself and Detective Wilkerson.
And it's your testimony under oath today that the drugs were purchased from Quen with a Q, Darius Redden.
I said he was suspected.
I'm sorry?
I said he was suspected.
So is it, I mean, I'm asking you, who did y'all buy the drugs from, sir?
From somebody at that location. I'm not sure exactly who, but he was suspected as the person that was bought.
Okay. So y'all don't have proof that Quendarius Redden was the one that sold the drugs on that day. Is that correct?
The drugs that were located at that location or purchased at that location led to the search warrant, which led to that incident on what we're here for.
Yeah, I get that, sir. Well, follow my questions, okay?
Yeah.
So how is it, you don't know, did y'all utilize the resources of a CI, a confidential informant?
We did.
Okay. And did y'all send the CI into the apartment in order to buy drugs?
Yes.
And did the CI come out and tell you who they purchased drugs from?
Didn't tell me personally, no.
Okay, well, did they tell anybody in your crowd who they purchased drugs from?
I'm not sure because I was in training at the time.
I'm sorry, I have a question. So were you physically present when this happened? Because you keep saying training. So you were, I understand you said field training. So when this control buy happened, were you physically present?
The area, yes.
Did you guys hear it? I didn't hear it.
No, ma'am.
No, Detective, can you re-answer the judge's question? You're breaking up again.
Area, yes.
Something about area. Can you say it again?
Yes. You hear me?
It's unstable. Yeah, if you can hear us, we can't hear you. It looks like you're frozen. You're frozen on our end. Okay, looks like you're better. So what did you say?
Was the question still the same? Because you guys broke up.
Yeah, so I was asking you, when you say you were training, were you physically present when the control buy happened?
Not in the apartment. No, we were in the area doing surveillance while it was going on.
Okay. You can go ahead. I'm sorry. You can continue, Attorney Florio.
And when the CI came out and met up with law enforcement, who did the CI say they bought drugs from?
According to my notes and what I was told by Detective Wilkerson, it was Darius Redding.
Okay. And how many control buys were made from that apartment?
According to this, 3.
Okay. What dates were the other control buys conducted?
I wasn't present for the first one, and the third one was done, it's like January 19th.
Okay. What date was the second one conducted?
The second one?
Yes, sir.
January 14th.
Okay. What date was the first one?
I don't have that date.
What date were we just talking about? I thought that whole exchange was about January 14th.
Hold on one second, I'm sorry. Yeah, January 12th was the first one. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. When was the second?
Second one, I believe, was January 14th.
And when was the third?
19th, January 19th.
Okay. And the interaction that we just had, which date was that? That whole discussion we just had, what date were you speaking of?
January 14th.
And that's the one you weren't there for?
No, I wasn't there for the January 12th one.
Okay, so you weren't there for the first one, but you were there for the second and third?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you familiar, have you had a chance to review the reports as they relate to the January 12th control buy?
No, I haven't. I can review it now.
Please.
Okay.
Okay. Are you, again, was there a CI that was utilized in the January 12th control buy?
Yes.
Okay. And do those records reflect who the CI alleges to have purchased narcotics from?
It says twin brothers, Quindarius and Kendarius Redding.
Okay. And does it allege what drugs were purchased?
8.9 grams of suspected marijuana.
Does the case file reflect photographs or video or anything of that control buy?
No.
And then January 14th was the one that we just discussed. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then January 19th, was there another, do you allege there was another control buy made?
Yes.
Okay. And was there a CI that was utilized in that control buy?
Yes.
Okay. And were you present for that one?
Say it again.
Were you present for that control buy?
Yes.
Okay. And who do you allege the control buy was made from?
I believe that was also Quindarius. Stand by for a second. Yeah, we have Quindarius.
And what do you allege was purchased on that day?
Exhibit 1 was suspected MDMA, 14.93 grams, and Exhibit 2 was crack cocaine, 0.92 grams. All suspected.
Okay. And so based off of these 3 control buys, is that what led to the application for the search warrant?
Yes.
Okay. Who made the application for the search warrant?
I did.
Okay. And when was the search warrant granted?
Hold on one second. I'm sorting through this. I don't have it in front of me. Hold on one second. Let me see if I get it.
It's okay. I'll strike that question. It's okay. And so there was ultimately a search warrant that was conducted at this apartment. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were you able to identify if there was a leaseholder as to this apartment?
Yes, I believe we did. It was a female subject, I believe, but I don't have that information in front of me either.
Okay. Were you able to tie that female subject to Quindarius Redden?
I can't tell you that off the top.
The apartment itself, was it an apartment that appeared to be lived in, or was it an apartment that appeared to be more of a stash house?
The apartment had furniture in it, food. I don't believe there were any beds or anything like that. So I'm not sure if it was a stash house or they just couldn't afford furniture. I don't know.
Okay. All right. And so at what time of day was the search warrant executed?
I believe afternoon.
Okay. You were present for the execution of the search warrant?
Yes.
Okay. And when y'all arrived how did y'all make entry into the home?
We had a team that went to one side and we had a team that went to the other side.
Okay. And was the purpose of putting the team or placing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You there?
Yeah, I can hear you. We had a team that went to the front side, which is on the apartment, like the apartment side. And then the back side of it is on the street side of the apartments.
Okay. And was the purpose of placing law enforcement around the apartment to keep anyone from inside the apartment from exiting and leaving or fleeing?
In an attempt, yes.
Okay. All right. And the apartment itself, was it fully, there's law enforcement fully around it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And so entry was made into the apartment by law enforcement, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And when y'all entered into the apartment, there were 2 individuals located inside of the apartment. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's Mario West and Quindarius Redden. Is that correct?
Yes. Ken Darius is located in a bathroom in the red house. And West was in the dining room area.
Was Mario West a target of this investigation, or was he just there, wrong place, wrong time?
He wasn't specifically named as somebody as a target, but he was located inside the location with everything that was located inside.
Okay, so independent of Mario West having been located in the apartment, you have no evidence into Mario West. Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Independent of Mario West having been found inside of the apartment, you have no evidence as to Mario West. Is that correct?
You mean before this incident?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, no, we didn't know he was in there. No.
All right. Were there other people other than Mario and the Redden brothers? Were there other people during your surveillance that you saw coming and going from that apartment?
Yes.
Okay. Were you ever able to identify who those individuals were?
Mario Teasley.
Okay. Anyone else?
That's it. Mario Teasley.
Okay. And so there was a search conducted of the apartment. Okay. And I understood you to say that there were amounts of marijuana and cocaine and ecstasy. Was that located inside of the apartment?
Any illegal narcotics were located inside the apartment.
Okay. Just so that I'm clear, I tried to write it down while you were speaking, but the internet was breaking up. Where specifically was the ecstasy located? No, I know there was a lot of marijuana, but where specifically was the ecstasy located?
When you're referring to ecstasy, you're referring to MDMA, correct?
Yes. Yes. I think he just fell off.
It appears that he has fallen off.
Yeah, I don't see him listed. So I'll wait for him to log back in.
Thank you. Your Honor, would you like for me to call him on speakerphone to see if I can try to find Detective Caleb?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Hey, Judge, it's Deputy Brown. We have Mr. Carter back.
Okay.
The number you dialed has been changed. Disconnected. Welcome to Verizon Wireless. The number you dialed has been changed. Disconnect.
Your Honor, I don't know if you could hear it, but I just attempted to call him and it went straight to voice. It's not going to voicemail. It's acting like the number's no longer operational. It appears that Investigator Ho from our office has equally attempted to reach out to him. He's sent me a message in the chat and he is not able to get him on the phone either. I'm not sure if the response that we're getting is because Detective Caleb's phone has completely died, because it did look like he was not.
Verizon Wireless. The number you dialed has been changed. Disconnected or.
Yeah, it seems that as though he was on a mobile device as opposed to a computer. And
was he at the precinct?
It looked like he may have been at headquarters. That's what it looked like. I'm not efficient at this. I will message Investigator Ho to try to get us a call over to headquarters to.
Okay, and maybe he can jump on one of the computers over there.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, when you finish doing that, we can bring up Mr. Carter so that Mr. Gubo can make his record.
Yes, Your Honor. And I'm just going to send Investigator Ho a message in the chat so we don't have to wait on me. I'll be present right here.
Okay, all right. Well, as soon as he comes up to the podium, Attorney Gubo, you can make your, but there he is. And let's see, this is Mr. Devon Carter, the preliminary hearing we held earlier. And let's see, the first warrant number is 2021 CW 50547, and they go in chronological order to 2021 CW 505550. Mr. Gubo, please, you can make your record.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, this is a case where one of the alleged victims had been telling my client that she was going to send him to jail. The alleged victim is upset because my client is in a serious relationship with another woman. The woman is pregnant.
Objection, Your Honor. This testimony did not come in during the hearing. Attorney Gubo asked the officer if he was aware of the nature of the altercation between the victim and Mr. Carter. He said that he was not aware of that information. And so as such, it was not testified to during the hearing.
Mr. Gubo, your response?
Your Honor, the officer said that the one of the victims, she talked about my client being in a relationship with another woman. So that's what I'm trying to point.
Okay, overruled, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. The woman is pregnant and will soon give birth to my client's child. When it comes to the criminal damage, Your Honor, there is no probable cause. The officer testified that he didn't see any phone, and then therefore there's no sufficient evidence of talking about the damage here.
He said that he indicated that the phone was, he saw the glass and that it was broken, and the defendant, Bennett said it belonged to him.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm just making an argument here that,
okay.
Your Honor, that he didn't see the phone. So,
okay.
And when it comes to the robbery, OCJ 16841 states that a person commits the offense of armed robbery when, with intent to commit theft, he or she takes property of another from the person or the immediate presence of another by use of an offensive weapon or any replica, article, or device having the appearance of such a weapon. Your Honor, in this case, there's no probable cause to show that my client had intent to commit the theft. There's no probable cause for armed robbery. When it comes to the charge of aggravated assault, I would like to bring to your Honor attention the decision of Georgia Court of Appeals. In Goodman v. State, the court noted that intentionally firing a gun at another absent justification is sufficient in and of itself to support a conviction of aggravated assault. In this case, Your Honor, there is a justification for the firing. My client fired the gun because he was startled by one of the alleged victims. My client didn't know the alleged victim was in the house, and when he saw him, he shot the gun.
Your Honor, again, I apologize, but objection. Counsel is testifying to facts not in evidence. Counsel's questions alluded to whether the law enforcement officer knew if Mr. Carter was aware of Mr. Benton's presence in the residence. He said he was unaware if Mr. Carter knew Mr. Benton was or was not present. And so counsel's argument that Mr. Carter did not know was not brought into evidence because Mr. Carter elected not to testify. And the testimony that came out through the officer was that he was unaware as to what Mr. Carter did or did not know.
Attorney Gubo.
Yeah, when that issue was raised, the testifying officer stated that if this was the case, it wouldn't be a justification for fighting. And I stated that that could be one of the reasons for the shooting. I'm just presenting one of the theories here.
Okay, you can continue.
And Your Honor, I finally submit on a terroristic threat. Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. All right, Mr. Attorney Watkins.
Your Honor, we heard earlier the testimony of Officer Christian with the Clayton County Police Department, who testified that he has been working for Clayton County for about 2 years and is in fact a patrol officer, and as such was the responding officer to this incident regarding Mr. Carter. The officer testified that he met with the female victim, in this case, Ms. Lumpkin, at the gas station where she had relocated to after the altercation with Mr. Carter. He testified credibly to Ms. Lumpkin's testimony or her version of the facts regarding there being an altercation, Mr. Carter being upset that there was another male individual in the residence that both Mr. Carter and Ms. Lumpkin at one point shared, and that because he was upset there was someone there, that an altercation ensued. And as a part of that altercation, a firearm was discharged in the residence, fragments of which scraped Ms. Lumpkin, and that the defendant, Mr. Carter, subsequently used that same firearm to point it at the head of Mr. Benton and take a cell phone from his possession and slam that cell phone on the ground, breaking the screen. Your Honor, the facts as alleged support the 4 charges in this case that, and I apologize, Your Honor, you hold back. The facts as alleged support the charges in this case of aggravated assault, terroristic threats, criminal damage to property, and armed robbery. The defendant did in fact use a firearm in an attempt to intimidate, and as the officer testified to, Mr. Benton said he did fear for his life. He was told to get on the ground and to give over his cell phone, and whether or not the cell phone was recovered from the scene is irrelevant as far as whether Mr. Carter in fact used a firearm to take any property from Mr. Benton. What he did with that property subsequent to taking it does not matter for the charge of armed robbery. With respect to the aggravated assault, Your Honor, the counsel cites a case that says firing a firearm without justification is in fact aggravated assault, and that's what it was in this case. Whether or not, as Attorney Gubo suggests, Mr. Carter was or was not startled, being startled is not a justification for firing a firearm, and that is even beyond being startled, not a justification for using said firearm to commit an armed robbery for taking the property of another person and causing damage to it. The state asserts that we've proven all of the elements of the 4 offenses as needed to establish probable cause, and we'd ask that the court bind the 4 charges over to Superior Court.
Okay, I find sufficient probable cause to keep the charges bound over to Superior Court as previously ordered.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you
Mr.
so
Carter
much,
can
Your
go back, deputies.
Your Honor, with respect to Attorney Florio, with respect to Detective Caleb, he should be logging in from a computer. Investigator Ho was able to make contact with him. His cell phone did die, and he is logging in from a laptop.
Okay, so we'll be on standby.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
Your Honor, it's just, I was about to ask to be excused, but I just remembered one client, Judge. Never mind, disregard.
You still have another one?
Mr. Turner, Ms. Freeman is checking on his warrants.
Judge, and I'll say this, and Ms. Reddick, we are waiting to hear back from the officer. I don't know if it's going to be today. And so, but the officer who took the warrants out, he is checking on that.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
Was this an add-on? I don't have a Turner.
It was an add-on, Judge, and it was a case that it was not going to be a hearing, but there are possibly some charges that are duplicative. It's a homicide by vehicle, and at the time, I indicated to Ms. Reddick that I needed to be in the office to try to look at them. I'm still unable to pull the older warrants, and so my investigator contacted the officer, and he's double checking. But like I said, I don't know if we're going to have an answer this afternoon, but he is working on it.
Well, Attorney Reddick, you can continue to hang out with us till we finish this hearing.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. All right, I just let him, there he is. He's back in the room. I think we're waiting on Attorney Watkins to come back. There she is.
Thank you, Judge. I apologize.
No problem.
Sorry about the interruption.
All right, you can continue, Attorney Florio.
Thank you. Detective Caleb, I
Yes.
know that there were quantities of marijuana located. I understand that. I want to just focus on the MDMA, okay? When the search warrant was executed, where was the MDMA located?
Inside of the residence, I have to tell you specifically, was MDMA located on the living room floor.
And how much MDMA was located on the living room floor?
Looks like 11 grams.
Okay.
There was also 35 grams of MDMA located in a black backpack.
And where was that backpack located, sir?
I don't have a specific location. believe it was the kitchen.
And was that the totality of the MDMA located, sir?
I believe so.
Now, let's go through the 11 grams of MDMA that was located in the living room floor. Do you know who put that MDMA there?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you know when that MDMA was put there?
No, it was located during the search warrant.
Okay. Do you have any proof that Quindarius Redden was aware that there was 11 grams of MDMA located in the living room floor?
No.
Any proof that Quindarius Redden ever possessed the 11 grams of MDMA located in the living room floor?
No.
Okay. And then that black backpack with the 35 grams located in the kitchen. Do you know when that backpack was placed in the kitchen?
No.
Okay. Do you know whose backpack it was?
No.
Okay. There had been, I understand, there was surveillance of the apartment prior to execution of the search warrant. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. During that surveillance, that pre-surveillance of the apartment, was Quindarius Redden ever seen with that black backpack?
I couldn't testify to that because I didn't conduct the surveillance before that.
Who did?
One of our other detectives on the task force.
Do you know who?
Not specifically, no.
Okay. During the course of your investigation, have you ever seen Quindarius Redden with that black backpack?
No.
Okay. During the course of your investigation, have you ever seen anyone else with that black backpack?
No.
Okay. What else was located inside of that black backpack, detective?
Looks like a quantity of GLM and the MDMA.
During the course of your investigation, let me ask you, do you know who placed that black backpack there?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you have any proof that Quindarius Redden ever possessed that black backpack?
No.
Okay. Do you have proof that Quindarius Redden ever had knowledge of what was located inside of that black backpack?
No.
Okay. And do you have any proof that Quindarius Redden ever possessed what was inside of that black backpack?
No.
Okay. I understood you to say that there were other items located in some of the closets inside of the home. Is that correct, detective?
Yes.
Okay. And specifically, there were firearms located inside of the home. Is that correct?
Yes.
At any time during your investigation, did you see Quindarius Redden with a firearm?
No.
Okay. Did you receive information as part of your investigation that Quindarius Redden was known to possess firearms?
Did I? No, I haven't. No.
All right. Do you have any proof that Quindarius Redden knew that those firearms were located inside of the home?
No, I didn't speak to him, no.
Okay. Do you have any proof that Quindarius Redden ever physically possessed any of those firearms?
No.
Any proof that Quindarius Redden owned any of the firearms?
Nope.
Now, I understand that Quindarius Redden was located outside of the home. Is that correct?
He was located outside the door where the apartment was.
Okay. Who located him? Do you recall what law enforcement officer located Mr. Redden?
No.
Okay. And isn't it true that Mr. Redden was located outside the upstairs neighbor's door? Is that correct?
I couldn't testify to that. I'm not sure.
Now, during the course of this execution of the search warrant, was there some sort of communication from your team that there were people exiting the home?
Yes, I believe so. I couldn't say specifically, though.
Okay. Do you remember who would have made that communication?
It's somebody on the entry team.
Okay. And is that still someone with Clayton County Police Department?
I believe so. I'm not sure, though.
Was there, to the best of your knowledge, was there any body cam worn during the execution of this search warrant?
No.
Okay. Any particular reason why no body cam was worn?
No particular reason, no.
Okay. To the best of your knowledge, were there photographs taken of the inside of the home and where the alleged narcotics and firearms were located?
Yes.
Okay. And that's been included as part of your case file?
Yes, and if not, it will be.
The THC edibles, do you remember where they were located?
THC edibles. I'm sorry, give me 1 second.
Yes, sir. And I'm also going to ask about the oxycodone as well, Detective.
Okay. The edibles were located on the top shelf in the kitchen cabinet.
Yes, sir.
Oxycodone. A secondary bedroom closet.
Was there anything about that bedroom that you used to identify it as being Quindarius Redden's bedroom?
No.
Okay. Did you find any of Quindarius Redden's personal items inside of this home?
Not personally, no.
Okay. Well, are you aware as to whether or not anyone from your agency found any of Quindarius Redden's personal property inside of this home?
No.
Are you aware as to whether or not anyone else is alleged to have made controlled sales from that home? I understand the allegation against Quindarius and Kendarius, but anyone else involved in selling out of that home?
No.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, any redirect, Attorney Watkins?
Yes, Your Honor, very briefly. Detective, I want to redirect your attention to a substantive portion of the cross-examination that talked about the controlled buys.
Yes, ma'am.
Detective, where the January 14th, 2021 controlled buy, who was that purchased from? The narcotics in that controlled buy, who were they purchased from?
From?
Yes.
According to the notes, it was Quindarius Redden.
And do your notes that you're reviewing include the evidence submission, or is that a different note?
No, it includes evidence submission.
Okay. And so.
All right, hold on. You're talking about the GBI evidence submission or the Clayton County evidence submission?
I'm looking at the Clayton County Police Department evidence submission.
Okay, so on the controlled, on the third one, the 14th, it says with a K, Kendarius.
Kendarius with a K.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the 14th.
Okay, and the control buy on the 14th, where was that conducted?
228 Morrow Road, apartment 14.
Okay. And is that the same address that the search warrant was ultimately executed at on January 22nd?
Yes.
Okay. I want to talk to you about the control buy on January 19th. Do you recall the questioning regarding that controlled buy?
Yes.
And is there a Clayton County Police Department evidence submission form in relation to that controlled buy?
Yes.
And who was that buy made from?
Quindarius with the Q.
Okay. And during that controlled buy, what was purchased?
According to the notes, it was MDMA, suspected, and crack cocaine.
Okay, and those were the quantities of 14.93 grams and 0.92 grams that you testified to earlier with Attorney Florio.
Yes.
And where did that controlled by occur?
228 Morrow Road, apartment 14.
And that is the same address from the controlled by on the 14th
Yes.
and from the search warrant on the 22nd?
Yes.
Okay. With respect to the layout of the apartment, apartment 14A, 22 Morrow Road, apartment 14A, where Mr. Quindarius Redden was located, was that inside or outside of the apartment?
There's a rear door that we had no access to. We couldn't lock. You have to break the door open or have somebody open it from the inside to gain access to it. It's a staircase that leads to both sides of the apartments, and the only way to get in there or out of there is if you go through the apartment.
And so that stairwell is where Mr. Quindarius was located.
Yes.
And it's your testimony that there's no way to access that stairwell where Mr. Quindarius was located, but for going through the apartment 14A.
Right. You can't walk into the apartment. You can walk out, but you can't walk in because the knob is missing.
Okay. Attorney Florio asked you questions about if the apartment appeared to be inhabited as a residence or if it was just a stash house. Based on your observation, can you remind me of what your response was?
There was food inside the residence. There was a couch. I don't recall if there was any furniture in the bedrooms, but there were clothes in there, and I couldn't tell if it was just a stash house or somebody was living there. You know, it was people without the means to buy furniture. Sometimes they sleep on the floor, you know, so I couldn't tell if it was a stash house or not.
Okay, but that is the location that Mr. Quindarius Redden had been observed at on at least two separate occasions, the 19th and the 22nd.
Yes.
Okay. With respect to the location of the various quantities of green leafy material or suspected marijuana, were any of those located in such a way that only one person would have access to them?
No, they were stashed in different areas of the residence.
With respect to the oxycodone pills that were located in the residence, 119 oxycodone pills, were they located in such a way that only one person would have access to them?
No.
What about the suspected MDMA? Was it located in such a way, either of the quantities, the 11 grams or the 35 grams, were either of them located in such a way that only one person would have access to them?
No.
What about the digital scales that were located in the residence? Were they located in such a way that only one person would have access to them?
No.
What about any of the multiple firearms that were located in the residence? Were they located on any person?
No, they were located in different areas of the house.
Okay. And were those areas where the firearms were located also in proximity to where narcotics were located?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Detective. No further questions.
Attorney Florio, do you have any recross based on her question she just asked?
Just very briefly, Your Honor, you'd agree with me, Detective Caleb, that in your report, you identified an address for Quindarius Redden. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you'd agree with me that that address was 416 Wilena Drive in Forest Park. Is that correct?
Yes, that was his mother's address, I believe.
Okay. And you'd agree with me that that's the address that you identified as a home address for Mr. Redden?
As one of his addresses, yes.
Okay, what other addresses do you have that he resides at?
On paper, I'm not sure, but he was observed at 228 Morrow. So,
okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, argument? Do you have any, I'm sorry, did you have any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Your Honor, and the state will reserve.
Okay. Attorney Florio?
Before Attorney Florio starts, may Detective Caleb be excused?
Yes, you can.
Thank you, Detective.
thank you.
Yes, Your Honor. So I would point the court to certain questions asked. And those questions being, I understand that there are quantities of drugs located inside the apartment, but I know the court is intimately aware that spatial proximity in and of itself is not enough, meaning just because you're close to something does not mean that you possess it. And so when we peel back the layer and we look at it a little bit closer, well, what proof do you have that Mr. Redden knew that these drugs were there? I don't have any. What proof do you have that Mr. Redden owned it? I don't have any. What proof do you have that Mr. Redden possessed it? I don't have any. And it was the same for everything. And so if I don't have proof that he possessed it, and I don't have proof that it was his, and I don't even have proof that it was there, how do I then have proof that he's guilty of trafficking or that he's trafficked? And so I think that that's kind of the position we find ourselves in, that I understand that there were narcotics located inside that apartment. And I understand that there were other, evidently there was a prior investigation. And at some point, about 10 days before, there was an incident with police and him. I get that. I understand that.
So what about the 2 controlled buys involving your client from that location?
It's an issue. Not going to tell you it's not.
All right.
It's an issue. It's an issue. I get that. But for purposes of what we're charged with here today, for purposes of the fact that we're charged with drug trafficking, I don't think that the state has met its burden. I understand that there may be prior allegations. Certainly we'll have to look into those and explore those allegations as discovery comes. It's an issue. It is. But for purposes of today and for purposes of the testimony presented today, we would ask the court to find that probable cause has not been met. Thank you.
Okay, Attorney Watkins.
Thank you, Your Honor. We heard the testimony of Detective Caleb, and if nothing, it was disjointed. And unfortunately, the testimony did not come out as clearly or concisely as the state would have preferred, due to technological issues, due to Detective Caleb just trying to reconfirm dates for multiple controlled buys, whether he was in fact working the case or on field training. And so it did not present the most clear and concise view of the evidence. But if we do spend time and look at what was presented, Your Honor is aware that there were multiple buys, controlled buys, from that specific address, and that involved the defendant, Mr. Redden. And those controlled buys were for types of narcotics that were in fact found on the date that the search warrant was executed, which was a few days to a week or so short of when the controlled buys were conducted. And that timeline, in conjunction with the defendant's repeated presence at the location and involvement in the sale of narcotics from that particular location, gives us enough that there is probable cause established that the defendant was in fact not only knowledgeable of, but in fact was in possession of the items that were located inside that residence. Mr. Redden's physical proximity to the narcotics was he wasn't holding anything when officers walked in. In fact, he was in a part of the apartment, or had just stepped outside of the apartment, but was in such a way that he would have only been able to be where he was had he been inside the apartment. There was no way for him to be entering the apartment from where he was exiting, and had to, as the detective testified, exit through the kitchen. The rear door was off the kitchen being the spot where numerous items were located. In this case, Your Honor, narcotics, firearms, scales, bags. And so the state believes that for the purposes of this hearing, we've met probable cause. In fact, through the fact that the defendant was associated with the address prior to, and that the defendant was there with the same items that he was accused of having sold during undercover buys to confidential informants. Those same types of narcotics were apprehended on the date at issue, which was the January 22nd when the search warrant was executed. And as such, we'd ask that you find probable cause and bind over the charges to Superior Court.
Yeah, that's the part that kind of will help me to get to, I'm going to find probable cause is sufficient. Based on those 2 buys at that location, it's enough for this stage of the case, you know. So I am going to bind the case over and I fill out the appropriate paperwork. And I don't think that there's anything else, right? Attorney Reddick and Attorney Freeman.
Yes, we've been communicating, Judge. I just got an email from the detective.
We still on YouTube.
Oh, okay. All right. So this